Cheers.
Hey guys,
Hey.
it's Rob and Leo from Words of Farewell. We play melodic death metal. We are from Germany and the band has been going since 2007.
I'd say one of the main effects was that we were able to come down a little bit from gigging. For me personally, the main effect of the pandemic concerning the band was that I had the opportunity to concentrate more on getting better at my instrument and on recording new stuff, and also I wrote a lot more songs in that time.
It's been a bit two-faced really. Some of us were hit quite hard by Corona, some of us weren't hit as hard depending on the jobs we have. So some of us had a lot more time to do things for the band, others of us still had to work, which was good on the one hand. On the other hand, we didn't have gigging and live shows as a makeup for everyday jobs. So I think in a nutshell, Corona has been ambivalent for us. It's had its downsides, but also some benefits.
For example, we released a new EP in end of March, just where the first lockdown came for Germany. And we cannot really tell, but we think it hit better because of the pandemic or because of the lockdown, because more people were having time to consume online media. And we tend to think for that little time period it was good for us.
There's also one other reason. Because of the lockdown, we were able to put a lot more time into the actual release itself, which wouldn't have been possible with the everyday jobs and lives we usually lead. Because we didn't release ourselves this time without a label. We'll come back to that later, I guess. So without Corona, this wouldn't have been possible. Touring and booking has been really tough. We had one show this year, which was cool on the one hand, on the other hand was kind of weird also, because of all the regulations and safety precautions we had due to Corona. But booking shows for 2021 is almost impossible, because most of the shows that were supposed to be this year were postponed to 2021, so it's really hard to get into the clubs, especially seeing that some venues have had to close, some have been shut down. So I guess in the future, in the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be really, really hard to do touring and to book new shows.
But so we have more time to concentrate on writing new stuff and improving wherever we can. Actually, we're just filming this because we just finished rhythm guitars for another song. So yeah, we are recording right now. The first song is already in the mix.
We can't say anything about the release date yet because
Corona.
Yeah, everything has been delayed a bit due to various lockdowns. We're on lockdown again, so it's only the two of us, not the whole band, recording. We've had to cope with that. You can expect a sound that is quite close to Inner Universe, sound-wise. Composition-wise, I guess you can look forward to a mix of older stuff and modern stuff. Well, everyone says that usually, but still, I guess it's gonna be quite pleasant to listen to.
And the guitars are gonna be even better. Well, let me start with this because I'm just with the band since 2014. I'm still the newest member. I think for me the turning point was really this Corona pandemic. Although we cannot yet tell if it was a good or a bad one, I think it's going to be a good one because with the last release, we learned a lot of new stuff about things that we weren't doing before, not as much at least. For example, promotion and doing all the work that the label does normally, we had to do ourselves this time. And I think for us it was, on the one hand, a lot of work, but on the other hand it was really good for us. And as far as we can see from the numbers, from an analytical standpoint, I think we did quite well with the last release. So I think that was maybe a turning point. We cannot really tell if it was a good one because we couldn't book any shows now. So we cannot see if it was getting better or worse concerning gigs.
From my point of view, we had a couple of quite interesting turning points in the band history. The biggest one being, well, obviously the record deal with AFM Records that we signed in 2011 and that was published in 2012, because that opened up a huge range of possibilities concerning shows, concerning well, basically leaving our hometowns and getting out there, playing bigger stages, playing bigger festivals. So I guess without that, we wouldn't have had all those amazing experiences that we had in the band history so far. That was probably the biggest one. On the other hand, it's always quite a big turning point if someone leaves the band and if a new band member enters. We had a couple of changes in the lineup, but I think for the longest period in time in band history, we haven't had a change, which is since 2014, right? Yeah, that's what you said. So, yeah, if I was to put it down to two big changes, one would be being signed by FM Records. The second would be this year, because this time we had to do everything ourselves.
From my point of view, living in a small town, the scene has decreased a lot. 10 years ago there were a lot more shows, a lot more venues where you could do shows. There were places that were funded by the state where you could do shows, where you could go like pay $3 as an entry fee, then have beer for $1 and have a great night. And now you don't get a show under like 10-15 bucks, but just because these venues are not there that are funded by the state, and all the people have to do their shows themselves and have to pay for them themselves, so you have to pay more. And I think also that decreased the whole metal, death metal, thrash metal scene a lot.
I also think, or to put it this way, I've noticed a shift in the way people attend shows. At least that's what I experience. I think people tend to go to live shows a lot less than they did 10 years ago, but they go to more festivals instead. At least that's my personal feeling. I think there's a lot more festivals going on and a lot more huge festivals, bringing more people into well, those areas and into those weekenders where a lot of different bands play, which is on the one hand a very, very cool thing, because I think festivals are great, and also for people on stage, festivals are one of the best things you can do. On the other hand, this drags out the people out of the small venues, out of the small clubs. So I'm not sure which impact this is going to have on the metal scene and on death metal or melodic death metal in particular. I've noticed a shift towards more this kind of core style, I don't know, melodic deathcore, hardcore. I think a lot of younger bands tend to go to that direction. So I guess maybe melodic death metal's big hour is going to be in 5 to 10 years when the big festivals start playing that. I think that's gonna happen.
And also, I think that a lot more death metal bands and also metal bands in general learn to use social media and video platforms more efficiently, and I think that's another plus for metal and death metal. So I think now that we're gradually coming to that, I think death metal will peak again. I hope so.
Fingers crossed. I guess this question heads into my direction because I'm a keyboarder and do a lot of the soundscaping and ambient sort of stuff on our music. I don't really have a set answer for that. I usually listen to the guitar profiles that Eric or Tristan or Rob, our main songwriters, have written down, and then when I see the melody and when I hear it with the piano, for example, usually just some different sounds and shapes pop up in my head, and I usually have a feeling, okay, this might sound cool. With the passage that you refer to, so that quite oriental passage in Offworld, I actually thought about a Dream Theater song, which I know and which I really love, and I thought, oh, this sound would suit so nicely with this special passage. So I just tried it out and I found it sounded really cool. So I usually just decide on what it sounds like and what I feel like having it sound. You know what I mean? But you're right in a way, it also depends on the scales. So if there's an oriental scale in the music, I tend to employ instruments that I personally would assign to this kind of scale. And apart from that, I just choose what sounds cool. So the deal we had with AFM Records was for 3 full studio albums, so Immersion, The Black White Yonder and A Quiet World. And after those 3 albums, we decided together with AFM that we will try to release an EP ourselves this year, which we did within a universe, and whatever comes next, we'll see.
I'd say our main songwriters are Eric and Tristan. Because Leo mostly comes in when the song is mostly finished and then puts his final magic over it. And then Alex is doing most of the lyrics, writing the lyrics, and mainly our division of tasks is not concerning the songwriting, because everyone can write songs, and if the song is good, we use it. If not, then we don't use it. Our division of tasks is mostly concerning the social media stuff, which Leo is doing. Then I take care for most of the endorsements and the relations to the companies.
Everyone needs a gear nerd. He's our gear nerd.
Oh yeah, I love gear nerding. Alex is, for example, our main dude for the artwork. Influences. I can only speak for myself. My influences come from totally other subgenres. My influences mainly are Machine Head, Hatebreed, Pantera, Slayer. And in the last time, because the dudes really flipped my head around music, so some of the bands I listened to earlier, which I just did not mention, I cannot really listen to anymore, but now I got into stuff like Anvils as Leaders and Polyphia and more complex and polished stuff like that. So my influences are shifting a little bit.
But we've always tried to make the best of that, because every band member in the band has got a very own and very unique taste in music. I think there's no single 2 people in the band who would have the same musical taste. And we've always tried to put our tastes together rather than tearing them apart and try to find a compromise. and try to find something we all like. Well, that's a question that actually Alex should answer, but he can't be here right now. Alex writes the lyrics for our music. I'll try to do that in his stead. So, the song deals with the loss of our capability to talk to each other. So people nowadays have lost their ability to do that. We don't really talk with each other anymore. It's more like an exchange of opinions. And people usually stop relying on facts and start making up their own truths. Everyone's got their own filter bubble, I'm sure you know this term. And everyone has started making their own sort of universes in which they live. When Tristan wrote that song, he thought about this passage of the great dictator and thought, okay, this might really fit. Because he said, okay, in the speech of Charlie Chaplin, it's about learning to speak with each other again, coming back towards each other and learning to speak one's heart, you know? So if you want to bring these two together, you can say we're at a point right now where people have started to go apart and to live next to each other but not live with each other, because we've been drifting towards a very, very egoistic society in a way, and people have developed into more extreme positions, and we feel that right now it is quite dangerous, or this is a movement that you would have to be very careful for. However, I have to say that Alex's text did not have a political message. It's more about our own personal ways of life and about the ways that people live, but you can still transfer that to the song of Charlie Chaplin. On the other hand, of course, like with every text there is and with every song lyric you have, it's always subject to your own interpretation. So if you read the lyrics to the song and try to make your own combination with the speech from Charlie Chaplin, I think you're probably gonna get what I'm trying to say.
Both. Definitely both. The cool thing with bigger festivals is mostly you play with bands you enjoy listening to yourself. You get to know new people, you get to know a lot of people, you get to party really hard.
Festivals are great.
We all enjoy going to festivals, and mostly we're not staying at a hotel, we're just bringing our own tents and party with all the people. Concerning smaller shows, you're just a lot closer. If you go to the edge of the stage, you have to watch out not to beat up the guy in front of you with your guitar and stuff like that.
And you get a direct response from the audience.
Yeah.
So playing a small stage is a lot more honest for the musicians in a way, because you get the direct feedback from the audience, and if you're at a huge festival, and we've played huge stages too, you have to focus a lot more, you have to concentrate a lot more, because it really feels more like playing a show than playing a gig. So maybe, yeah, at a festival you play a show, and in a small bar you play a gig, and both of them are great.
I really like to scream the people's faces, and with a smaller stage, you know they're hearing you. No matter how loud the PA is, when I scream to your face, you're gonna hear me.
So the last one was from Dark Tranquility, the new Dark Tranquility record, which I liked. And the first one was Bravo Hits. Bravo Hits 18, I think. No, Bravo Hits 95 in 1995, a compilation of pop music. I'm sorry.
I think my first record I bought was actually two. It was I bought two at the same time. OPM Heaven is a Half Pipe and Gorillaz Clint Eastwood, the two singles. And I think my last record, ugh, I guess it was from our buddies from Untitled. Very great tech dev like band.
What is your favorite drink? Coffee.
Coffee or water?
I assume that you also would like to know my favorite alcoholic drink.
Let me guess. Gin tonic.
No. Mojito. Mojito is great. One of my absolute favorites. And yours is beer.
In the last time I really started enjoying Bacardi Ras Mojito.
Do you listen to other music genres than metal? Yes, we have to. I'm a teacher of music, so I teach school kids, and if I was only listening to metal, I would be in hell, which would be great because of metal. On the other hand, it will be terrible. So I need to listen to other stuff, which I sometimes like, sometimes I don't. So I prefer metal.
I prefer metal, of course. But I think for Queen being one of my all-time favorite bands I grew up with, and that actually got me into playing guitar, and playing guitar got me into metal. And what do you consider Queen? Rock and pop, I think.
Rock.
For me, they also did one of the first metal songs, which was for me Innuendo. If you listen to it, just pull up the gain, and it's thrash metal at times.
I have to say, two of us, Connie and me, we're also choir conductors, so we're also doing quite different kind of music with choirs and orchestras.
My students learn metal if they want to or not.
How did you start making music? I started at the age of 5, when my parents sent me into music school, and I decided to pick up an instrument. And ever since, I've never stopped, and I still love it.
I started playing guitar at age 12, I think, and that got me into metal.
Is there anything else you want to say to the audience of Extreminal TV? Well, first of all, thank you very much for this interview and for this opportunity. Also, if you actually made your way through up to this point in the interview and have listened to the two of us talking bullshit, congratulations for having made it this far. And also, I think you should try to support underground metal bands just as this magazine does. Have a look out there. Don't only listen to the big bands, also give the newer bands a chance. And see which awesome and great bands and what kind of great music you can find out there, because there's a lot to find.
Yeah. Go to underground shows, and please do not tend to, I want to see that big band and I pay $200 for that, and because of that I don't have money left for seeing little shows. Don't get into that trap.
And if you want to spend a lot of money, go to a festival, and also have a look at the smaller bands that play at 12 or 1 p.m. or something.
And if you have a hangover, drink 2 beers and your hangover is gone, go see the smaller bands.
Support the underground.